Great flood, the great flood of 2019. Oh man, that flood. So I've seen some big floods. I've seen some big flooding, but nothing can compare. Also, I want to apologize too. I've been making the videos. I have been making the videos. I've not forgotten about you guys. I just haven't uploaded them because I haven't had time. I've been so fucking busy, but yeah, I think I have some time now. And but today I want to talk about stories. I think that's what I'm going to start doing too. Is I don't really talk too much about the stories, but I want to, tell you guys more about some stories that are going on. But there is a flood that took place at when I first became a manager. So this is the great flood of 2019. So basically what had happened was that there was a problem we were having with the tenant. And she owed some money and they didn't want to pay. They thought that they didn't have to pay. We were kind of coming after them for that. And basically the tenant, she had a boyfriend who would help her out. And this guy, have you ever met a pimp in real life? Like this guy was a pimp. Okay, like he had like the boots, the hat, the coat, the long fingernails, to show that he doesn't have to work. This guy was the pimp. and he was a great guy too. He was a Vietnam veteran. He was a tunnel rat. Anyways, he was not happy that I was charging them that rent, and he also didn't believe that we should pay. And he was trying to extort me a little bit, but that's just how it is. That's how this job is. Okay, you're not dealing with the best of people at times, so you're gonna have to learn street smart. You gotta learn to be street smart so you don't get taken advantage of. But anyways, and a lot of the times when you're street smart, basically being street smart is 9 out of 10. You're just staying one step ahead of them. Just stay one step ahead of them. 9 out of 10. Anyways, so so basically they were mad that we were charging them, and we did collect the money. And he warned me. He threatened me. He said, "Okay, are you sure you want to collect this money?" And I said, "Why wouldn't I be sure?" He goes, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Okay, Carlos. Okay, Carlos." And he left, and they both left. That night, oh shit. Okay, so I'm in the kitchen. My girlfriend at the time, she's in the bedroom. I'm in the kitchen cooking, doing my thing in the kitchen, right? And there's a spot on the floor, and it's a spot of water. And I'm like, "Oh, that's just some water." So I wipe it, and I go, and I come back, and the spot is still on the floor. And I'm like, "Okay." So I wipe the spot, and I go, and I come back, and the spot is there. And I'm like, "Son of a bitch. Like, I know I'm not fucking crazy. I just wipe this motherfucker." And I swipe, and I clean it. And then it hits me in the head. And I'm like, "What the fuck?" And my lamp and the ceiling lamp above in the kitchen is filled with water. Not only is it filled with water, is flowing. And my girlfriend, by that time, she comes out of the bedroom to, I think she passed by to go to the kitchen or something, and she's like, "What's up?" And I'm looking, and I'm like, "It's filled with water." And she looks up at the light, and she goes, "Huh, yeah, it is filled with water." And we were watching this lamp just fill up with water, and we could see it just get, increasing pretty soon. And then all of a sudden the lamp started leaking. Like water started coming out of the lamp. And then water started coming out of that corner, and then that corner, and then a big bubble in the paint, like a big bubble on the ceiling just came out, like a huge bubble like this, just boom. And water started coming down everywhere, and we were like, "Holy cow, the whole ceiling is..." So obviously there's a leak, right? So I say, "Okay, I got to deal with this." So I run upstairs, and I go to the unit. If there's ever a leak, always go to the unit above. The water has to always come from the unit above. Where else is it going to come from? It's not going to come from that unit over there. It's not going to come from below. It always comes from above. So go to the unit above. So I went to the unit above, and I knocked. And the lady answered, and she's like, "Oh, there's nothing going on here." And I'm like, "Are you sure?" And she goes, "No, there's no leak." And I said, "Okay, I'll be right back." And I went to the unit above her. Just for some random reason, maybe the water skipped. I was like, still, you could tell I was still young at the time. I was very naive. And I went to that unit above, but that one actually went in there, and I saw there was no leak. So I said, "Okay, it has to be this one. It has to be this one." and the water is still flowing. Okay, so I go and I knock on the door, and she opens it, and I said, hey, are you sure? Can we just come in and look? And she's like, yeah, you can come in and look. And we came in there. Her whole apartment floor is flooded with water. And I'm like, it's here. Do you not see the water? And she was, I don't know if this guy gave her, obviously this guy had sabotaged her thing and then given her something to make her all like, pass out or something, because she was out of it completely. Like she was like, oh, she's standing in a foot of water and had no idea that she's standing in a foot of water. So then I went into the bathroom to see where the water is coming from. Someone had ripped out the toilet hose. There is a hose that supplies water to the toilet, and you can rip that thing out. And if you rip that thing out, that'll flood the whole place. That'll flood the whole place instantly because it's active water. And it's easy to rip out. It's just like a little hose. Check that out too. If you ever get a flood, always check behind the toilet. It's like a little metallic hose. It's kind of flexible, but that hose will fuck you up. And so that thing had been ripped out. So I quickly went and shut off the water. Okay, and there's a valve, so you quickly just turn off the water right there, and then it's good. But now she didn't have a toilet, so we had to figure that out. We also had to get rid of the flooding. So what I did was I called the janitorial company, and they came out on an emergency and took care of it for us. But I think one of the big things that happened too is that my girlfriend at the time got very traumatized, because there was a time where we were looking and the whole ceiling was coming down and there was water coming in from everywhere. And she got like really scared and like curled up into a ball and hid in a corner. And I was like, oh, fuck. So, I mean, I guess, yeah, it could be very traumatizing if, like, you see your whole life just coming down on top of you or something. Me, I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what the fuck is going on? So, but those are things that you got to deal with in the apartment. I wanted to tell that story for a while. But always check that toilet hose. And always check for sabotage, too. That's one way they could sabotage you, too, is that they can flood your unit. They can try to flood you out. So be careful about that. Keep that in mind.